Hey everyone, happy Monday and welcome to another round of My Patriot Report Live. I'm Ratwan Hill and I am with the great Mr. Walter Cotton III. Mr. Cotton, how was your weekend, man?
I had a great weekend. We have a wonderful holiday experience that extended into the weekend, which included a rambunctious 7-month-old blue uh, uh, pit bull or no bulldog. Yeah, he's a little bulldog, and I had to watch him Saturday night, and I let him go into the back room for a few minutes. I wish I could bring you up the picture and show you the picture of what he did in the back room in like 5 minutes. Everywhere. But I had a great weekend. That's the answer to the question.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, so there's a lot of things going on. It seems to be a lot of events. I'm gonna call them distractions. There's a lot of distractions that's been going on in the ether as a late, and we like to focus on the economic part, but you know I was thinking, I was thinking about our troops. The two service members who were attacked a day before Thanksgiving, and this is not relevant to the point, but it is kind of relevant about the readiness of our troops. My question is to you: how did they allow somebody to be able to come up to them and attack them? Like, because usually when my military experience, when I was standing on guard, we had a weapon, and for him to attack two people, and I believe they said it was with like a revolver. My question is, how was nobody able to react or?
First of all, the difference between the two missions is that when you were deployed, you were given a mission that included defending your personal safety, right? You knew that you were in a theater of conflict and that there were adversaries about. And so you were on heightened alert. These members of the armed forces, in my opinion, were not given the proper instruction when they were placed in a position that, by constitutional provision, poly comitatus, they probably should not have been there. But that's another argument. And so the truth of the matter is, it's very difficult to prepare for an ambush when you're not expecting to be ambushed, right? So that would be the difference in the situation. Our military men and women are highly prepared. They're highly skilled. They're highly available for the mission if they know what the mission is. And
Mhm,
so I don't think that we're dealing with a unprepared situation. I just think we're dealing with a underinformed circumstance.
mhm. Okay, so from a constitutional standpoint, the president holds the role of commander in chief. And without getting political, how does that responsibility shape the decisions about force protection, readiness, and the overall health of the military?
Well, at the end of the day, the president takes on a major mission to become the commander in chief for a season, to become the leader of the free world for a season. And his responsibility is to take all of the chips that were given to him from the past administration and keep those things ordered such that when the next administration comes in, right, there's enhancement, hopefully, but for sure, there's no degradation, no erosion in the quality, in the security, in the economic stability. And so the commander in chief has a pretty significant role to play against all of these lanes: economic, security, healthcare, social. And it's a pretty big task. Fortunately, our forefathers saw it within their authority to give the president the ability to have liberal capability to manage within his discretion, as long as he doesn't run afoul of the guardrails, which are the Constitution, which provide him the direction and guidance. So my hat is off to anyone who takes on that task, because it's a lightning rod for energy and attention.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, let's pivot, and let's talk about the National Defense Authorization Act and the gold standard for the VOSB for DoD, the VOSB program for DoD. Uh, what's the latest news? What's the word you've been hearing about this? I've been looking at it. I know you've been paying attention to it as well, because this is something that we're excited about. Getting that gold standard for veterans.
Yeah, I've been following that issue like a toddler looking for his baba, right? And I go to AI, just about every day now to see if there's any fresh information. Based on the last reported information, what we had was clear evidence that the House had passed the provision under HR 3838, Section 881, which creates a gold program for veteran-owned small businesses at the Department of Defense. The AI is telling me that the Senate has agreed with the Congress, or should I say the House, in conference, and that there is going to be a new provision once the bill comes out of conference and is finally approved and headed to the president's desk. Haven't seen evidence of that, but if that does occur, it will be the correcting of an age-old wrong, and then the fulfillment of my good friend Bill Elmore's mission to ensure that all veterans have an opportunity to fully participate in the economic and entrepreneurial opportunities this nation has to offer.
Indeed, indeed. Do you think the shift is a attempt to rebuild a more reliable, resilient, veteran-led industrial base within the DoD?
Now, when you say the shift is to build who's making the shift? I mean, that's what I'm lost on. I didn't follow that
The
thread of thought.
Congress approving this veteran-owned small business gold standard right now. Because I know was fiscal year 2024 NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act. They promised to approve it, but right now, in this time, this season, right now, do you think this is a attempt for them to build to create a more of a veteran led um, DoD industrial base? Or
I've been kind of watching the signs, right?
Mhm.
I'm of a sneaky suspicion that there is a hidden agenda underway to make sure that him and her who bore the battle has the highest and best opportunity to capture generational wealth in this season. And I'm saying that, and again, you can take this to the bank if you'd like, because I'm seeing actions like the dismantling of other preference programs. I mean, we all see what's happening with the dismantling DEI, taking the race-based contracting and moving it to a persona non grata status, right? It's constitutionally unviable. They're dismantling that. There is the look right now at the other element of that small disadvantaged business community or ecosystem, which is the AA program, right?
Mhm.
The SBA secretary has called for an audit, and the early indicators from that audit have been so concerning that Treasury equally doubled down and called for a similar audit. So I guess what I'm really trying to say is that as I look at the ethnic based and I look at the gender based contracting programs, I see those being reduced. I see them being curtailed, while the veteran programs are being enhanced in capability. And so I'm not a rocket scientist, but what that suggests to me is that the Congress is seeing an opportunity to make sure that veterans, him and her who bore the battle, who represent all of the socioeconomic categories, have the highest and greatest opportunity to participate in the revitalization that we need in our economy right now. I believe that Congress wants its veterans to be rich.
Okay. Well, and with that being said, when you look at GSA and their move to centralized procurement, 400 plus $1 billion worth of contracts. What does that signal to small businesses? Is that a threat or an opportunity?
In my opinion, and I haven't been silent on this issue, it is a huge threat to small businesses. When they centralize contracts, that leads to bundling and consolidation. And that bundling and consolidation action historically has moved the contracting activities outside of the reach of our average small businesses. So not only is it a threat to our small businesses, but it makes our supply chain more porous, right? It moves opportunities into the hands of what I refer to as the war profiteers, right? And not all big businesses are war profiteers, but a lot of them are. And so, this centralization effort represents a threat to the small business community that requires them to become more nimble. It becomes something they've never been before, and maybe color outside of the line to sustain themselves. So I am telling everyone who would listen that we've seen this movie before, right? This centralization of contracts under the federal government's contracting agent, right? That makes America less safe, right? Because it consolidates, it centralizes spending under few belly buttons to push, which delivers an industry, an industrial base that's not just too big to fail, it's too big to manage. And so I'm telling everyone who would listen, especially the small business community, that we need to say in a full and deep throated voice to our Congress, please don't do this. And for those of you who are within the system and have the ability to be an activist, act up. This is the time to act up, right? We need to delay this process until our powers that be, right? Our leaders wake up and realize, hey, wait a second, this is dangerous.
Yes, sir. How do we ensure that a strong veteran or industrial base stays a part of the national security strategy?
How do we inform them, right? All we have to do is inform the veterans of the rights that they enjoy under settled law. If the veterans knew that the existing settled law empowers them with the ability to point at these contracts that they're trying to centralize and say to the acquisition community, I would like you to give me that one, that one, and that one. That suggests that they own a superpower that
Mm-hmm.
they could employ against creating generational wealth for themselves. But the critical need in this season is to have the know-how to execute against that. And that's what needs to happen right now. We need to equip them with the know-how to take advantage of these opportunities. And if they're not equipping you with that know-how, you need to get it yourself.
Okay, if you were a veteran-owned firm today, no matter the size, what's one strategic move you would make to adapt to this new centralization procurement environment?
I would join the New York chapter of the Elite Service Disabled Veteran Small Business Network. And I'm smiling when I say that because I'm, as many of you may already know, taking on the role as president of that network. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be deploying the know-how, right? The systems, methodologies, and procedures. I'm going to be building the community of practice that is going to be taking this contracting opportunity by storm. So one of the best things that you could do is join the elite Service Able Veteran Network, the New York chapter. For real, though.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to touch on something that you was mentioning earlier when you said you were using AI. What's your thoughts on AI in the federal procurement space? So I'm seeing that GSA is doing direct agreements with the big players. We got Google Gemini, ChatGPT, Anthropic, and I'm seeing them formulate agreements with these organizations. What are your thoughts on AI? Is this are we seeing a revolution in the federal procurement space and them adapting AI into this environment now?
We absolutely are. And as you'll notice that up over my right shoulder, there is a picture of a partnership that we have with a company called Procurement Sciences. And they have developed a application called Awarded AI. And the truth of the matter is, in today's acquisition environment, you need more than just to pull down a forecast that provides you with names and contact information of contracting officers, right? You need an assistant that can give you, you need an assistant that can give you some intel on the requirement. And that's where an AI that has been trained on acquisition can provide you with that information. It is connected, at least the one that we play with is connected to a data lake that has been closed off. So it doesn't hallucinate on stuff that's outside of the acquisition space. But at the end of the day, if you don't have a tool that you can sit down and ask it to help you get smart on opportunities before you start building a response, you're going to find yourself in a position where you're out of business, because these new requirements that are coming out are going to be coming out fast and furious. And you're going to have to be proactive, should I say, in answering the mail.
Absolutely.
And AI will help you. That's the point that I was trying to make. AI will help you. And you're talking about a guy that's coming from the old school of contracting, right? I remember when FPDS, well, not FPDS, what was it called? CCR, the Central Contract Register, right, was the thing that we used to find out information about the contracting environment. You guys have SAMs now, which is an evolution on that. But the point that I'm making is that if you're not playing with AI in your small business today, you're behind the curve, period.
What do you see as the best use cases for utilizing AI?
On the BD side of the equation, utilizing AI to become smart, to become intimate on your client, on your agency, on your product, on your opportunity, using AI to help you innovate, right? Your solution is a very, very effective way to utilize AI. But the more, or should I say, most important way to utilize AI is as a compliance check on the information that you're sending into the government. If you are sending in compliant requirements that are responsible and responsive, you have increased your probability, your win probability to the highest possible level. So that's how AI can be effective for you in facilitating wins.
And I think that also ties into the mission with the Department of War Secretary, streamlining the mission, moving with the pace of war, so being able to get
finish that thought out. I'm gonna come back, finish that thought out, and I'm gonna come back and answer the question.
Okay, yes. So what I was saying was that utilizing AI allows you to streamline your solicitations, your proposals, and I think that ties into in regards to what's going on with the Department of War Secretary, Mr. Hegseth, and his goal to streamline procurement. I think AI is a great resource or tool. I've been using it for quite a while, and Procurement Science Awarded AI. That's one of the great tools that we had early access to, that we've gotten to utilize, and they're always making updates that I believe is going to be a game changer for small businesses in this space. Uh,
Great job.
oh,
That was a great job. And let's be transparent to the audience. I had to take a pee break, so Mr. Hill had to hold it down for the few seconds while I was gone. So I'm back.
yeah, we all humans. We not robots here. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, So I was just telling them about while you was gone. I was just telling them about Awarded AI a little bit, how that's a great tool, and they're making updates, and how I think that's going to be a game changer for small businesses. But essentially, the point that I was getting to was the fact that with the Department of War Secretary, Mr. Hegseth, and his goal and mission to streamline procurement processes that utilizing AI fits squarely into the peg in regards to being a solution for that.
Absolutely. I think that what we have to appreciate from Secretary Hegseth is that what he is asking industry to do, he's asking industry to meet the government at its mission readiness level and not ask the taxpayers to help them get ready to meet government at the mission readiness level. And so I applaud his streamlining effort. And what that's doing is it's shaking up the pecking order in contracting, right? Those guys that used to be the bellwethers that held serve because of relationship, right? That's been replaced by innovation. If you are innovating and you are meeting the needs of the mission, Secretary Hegseth is saying you got a contracting opportunity here with the Department of Defense. But if you are not innovating in the direction that the mission is going in, you're not going to get there. And that's where AI can help you stay on point, right? You don't have to have tens of thousands of people all over the country pulling up data points if you've got a strong AI engine that is doing that work for you. So don't fear AI. Incorporate it into your environment, because those that are using it will win big moving forward. Those that aren't will be run over by those that are.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, I would like to make a pivot in regards to the class. I just want Well, first off, I want to talk about community. The what could you explain the significance of being a part of a community? They say you go faster alone, but you go further in a group. So could you expand and elaborate on the significance of just being a part of a community in general?
Yes, yes, yes. In a community environment, you always have the opportunity to have a partner who may have a little bit extra of something that you're lacking. That's the first thing that comes from community. But in the kinds of steel sharpening steel environments that we create, what we do is we create contract capture teams. Because in our environment, you've got to have two similarly situated organizations in order for your magic to happen. And so we don't just bring people through a training program and kick you out the door. What we do is we put you in communities of practice in your industry with the express purpose of disrupting that industry, with the express purpose of creating non-competitive differentiators for you and your team. And so in today's acquisition environment, it's not just enough to go through a training class that they're going to give you at SBA or a training class that you could buy at one of these colleges and universities. If you don't have a community that you're connected to, a watering hole that you can go back to when your reserves run low to continue the journey. And we offer that through the system that we deliver in the market. I hope that answers your question.
It did. And this leads me to my next question. Why is the Elite SDVOSB network one of the strongest vehicles for veterans to move from individual business owners to an organized economic force?
Why is it going to be that again? Right? That's what you should be asking that question, because as I said for those who heard me earlier, the Elite Service Disabled Veteran Business Network was the first business focused VSO in the system, and we pushed thousands of disabled veterans over the success thresholds into individual wealth. Over the years, we achieved the goal, and all of the members of the network got old and they moved on. Now I am taking control of an aspect of the network to revitalize it for the new veterans coming into the ecosystem in this season. And that's why it is the best place for you to be. And I don't want to be arrogant, I don't want to be too forward, but I've got a pedigree of helping people like you create generational wealth. And so I'm going to be in the Elite Disabled Veteran Network, delivering my tools and wares, and you benefit by being a part of it. I'm starting in New York, right? Because if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. In addition to the fact this is where I grew up. And what I'm doing is I'm putting together a cookie cutter business development solution for the state of New York that we're going to be able to move into other communities. We've got communities like Texas online, and we're going to Texas next because my good friend Ratwan Hill is there in Texas, and he's chomping at the bit to be the president of that Elite Disabled Veteran Network. But the bottom line is the reason that you want to be a part of this is because you get access to proven systems, tools, and procedures that'll help you create generational wealth for your family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What should a veteran watching right now do today if they want to be part of this next wave of opportunity?
Get involved. I mean, you get involved. That's it. Get involved. I mean, get involved. I mean, I'm going to suggest that you go to the ability2.biz network and take advantage of one of the classes that are out there. You go to the New York State Elite Service Disabled Veteran Network, join and get involved, but don't sit on the sideline and throw rocks at the screen, complaining about what this person could do better or that person could do better. Get involved, right? Get out of the mustard so you can catch up so that we can all be a part of the force multiplier. That's what you can do. Get involved. Everybody can do something. Bring your capability into the warehouse, into the storehouse, because America needs us desperately right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Last question I have for you before we go. What responsibility do we carry as veterans economically?
You carry the responsibility of creating generational wealth for your family. Period. That's your responsibility. Through your service to this great nation, the nation endowed you with benefit. It gave you certain benefits that give you a competitive advantage in capturing your desired share of what we've defined as a $1.3 trillion opportunity. So your obligation to your family, your obligation to this nation is to build a going concern that you can pass on to another generation of your family that keeps this economy moving forward. That's your obligation as a citizen soldier still in service to these United States.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. And one more thing had popped up in my mind because I remember talking to some a company, a CEO of an organization, and his question was, so how do you know that veteran-owned small businesses and service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses won't be disturbed in this, in this season? He said, with all the disruptions to everybody, how are you sure that you guys are not in that crosshairs?
Because we are a benefit that was established by Congress, right? This is a reward for our service to these United States of America. So there's no ambiguity about what we are entitled to. Right? So the idea that this is going to be disturbed, I personally don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. But I wanna, if I could, flip the script for just a minute, because people have been tipping into the Patriot Report for the Patriot Report Live for the last couple of sessions, and they've watched us banter back and forth. And I don't think that they've ever got a chance to meet you, right? They've never got a chance to know who this Ratwan Hill guy is. And so if I could take the mic for a minute and do a quick interview to introduce the audience, tell us a little bit about your background. You are a service member. Let's start there. Did you do some service, and what was it?
Yeah. So I was in the Army for active duty for 5 years. I was a M1A2 armor crewman, or better known as a tanker. So I got to drive that 64-ton vehicle. I got to shoot it a lot. I was at Fort Hood, so we trained a lot. We was first line of we're the first line of defense, so we get deployed the most. So we had to stay ready. So I got to train a lot.
So you are a disabled veteran. What percentage disability do you enjoy?
Oh yeah, I'm 100%. I was medically retired.
And when were you medically retired?
2018, at December 2018. Yes.
December. And let's talk about that transition process. I mean, what was it like in 2018? Right? You got your PCS orders, and you're about to enter a brave new world. Tell me what your experience was transitioning into civilian life.
Okay, so just to be transparent, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like, okay, I got 100%. What I'm going to do? I was like, okay, I know my bills and everything good. At that time, I didn't have any kids, nothing. It was just me. So I said, okay, I'm gonna work a job in a factory. I was like, I got out of the military in Fort Benning, so they have a Pepsi factory. I said, I'm gonna work at a Pepsi factory and make $18 an hour. Fast forward, once I did get out, I started going on YouTube University. Then I started, before I got out, it was an individual in my platoon named McCarter. Shout out to McCarter. He invested his bonus into the stock market, and he used to always show us on Robinhood. This when Robinhood first came out. I was like, man, McCarter, how you learned about stocks and stuff? And he's like, man, just go on Robinhood. He told me about a cryptocurrency, XRP, in 2018. So XRP was
okay. So this is getting very, very exciting. Very exciting. I want to bring some order to it. So
okay.
I understand that you got out of the military, and you had 100% disability that was going to cover baseline bills, and your strategy originally was to get yourself a factory job paying you 18, 19 bucks an hour and just kind of sail on into life, right?
Yes.
But somewhere along the way, an entrepreneurial itch bit you. How'd you get bit by the entrepreneurial bug? Because I want to just fast forward this thing to how you got into this GovCon thing. So how'd you get bit by the entrepreneurial bug?
Absolutely, yes. So that was part of the story. So when Makari told me about the financial literacy, how to get in the stocks, I went on YouTube University. Then I started learning about financial literacy. That led me to a podcast of brothers that was teaching this financial literacy. And then one of the individuals they had on was speaking about government contracting and how she was a service disabled veteran. And she was speaking about it was the 3% goal at that time that service disabled veteran owned small businesses had. I said, I'm a service disabled veteran. I believe it was over $1 trillion in the budget. I was like, man, 3% of that. I said, I know I could get something out of that. So, being younger and naive, I said, all right, I'm gonna jump in the government contract. So I went down the YouTube, rabbit hole and started learning about different things. I heard about the middleman method and this and that and that. So
were there any government support systems that you used that you found helpful?
I won't say, okay, I'll be honest. I wouldn't say it was helpful, but I did go through different organizations that they have, Score, Apex. Yes, I went through those channels, and I got generic information.
Okay. And so the other question that I want to get you to help me understand is what, okay, so you got bit by the entrepreneurial bug.
Mm-hmm.
You went down the support system that the government has for you to get you connected to federal contracting. What kind of industries are you looking to play in? Like, what kinds of things are you looking to do in federal contracting?
Yes. So once I got out of so I had to rewind back. I didn't say this part. I went to school for HVAC and for heavy construction school because that was closely related to what I did in the military. So once I learned those trades,
Okay, so wait a minute. Let me understand this correctly. So you had the idea of getting the factory job, and you got bit by the entrepreneurial bug, and then you found the ability to pay for an HVAC school. How'd you pay for the HVAC school? How'd you get involved in that?
oh yes, I used my GI Bill to pay for yeah, my GI Bill paid for both of those schools. Yes.
Okay. And so you got finished with the school, and what happened after that?
I got plugged in. Well, I had my friend who actually recommended me to those two schools. He got connected with a federal contractor that was doing contracts for the Department of Homeland Security. So that was actually my first introduction into federal contracting because he got me into that job, and then I ended up working directly with the CEO of the company. So I was like number three on the food chain, I guess you say. But I work directly with the CEO every day, managing the whole site, the World Trade Bridge in Laredo, Texas. So that's how I got
Okay.
involved. Yeah.
And so clearly you got connected into a relationship with me that taught you the good news, I guess, of joint venturing. Talk a little bit about how you got connected to that particular knowledge base.
Yes, so I won't forget this ever. It's a why SDVOSBs matter. So it was a webinar. So the VA Ostebu, they host webinars for service disabled veterans or anybody who tune in, where they can learn about government contracting, federal contracting, and doing business with the VA. And Mr. Cotton was one of the and Mr. Elmore was on there as well, where they were given a presentation in regards to why SDVOSBs matter. So I tuned into there, and that's where I met Mr. Cotton, and he was speaking about the good news of joint venturing. I came in a little late, but I did hear you get that free consultation. Just send me an email, a little cotton in your ear. I remember that, so I took advantage of that.
Excellent. And so fast forward today, we don't have to go through the blow by blow because it was bloody, but you're sitting in a situation right now where what kind of company prospects are you working with? I mean, what kind of opportunities are you looking at for fiscal year 2026?
Absolutely, yeah. It's stuff that I would never even imagine being a part of. Honestly, like the being just to be connected to billion-dollar organizations, billion-dollar companies, being able to talk to these CEOs of billion-dollar companies. Most small businesses would be chomping at the bits to do this. But opportunities I'm looking at are opportunities that are historically awarded to other than small businesses. So $50 million, $100 million opportunities. I can honestly say that I've just being interfaced in this community, in this environment. I've been offered contracts. I've been offered to get novated contracts. I had companies want to novate contracts. I had companies wanting to offer me subcontracts. I had at least 5 or 6 companies want to offer me subcontracts, but because I'm connected to, we are connected to so much rich resources, that sources of supplies, that I told them no. I told them no. And that might be crazy for a lot of small businesses who break into space, because they're like, man, you had opportunity to partner with organizations like Johnson Controls and you told them no?
I want to ask you a question. Why are you doing this? Most people that got access to the information that you got access to, that is connected to the kinds of companies that you're connected to, would be, hyper focused on, you know, taking full advantage of it. Why are you taking any of your time to share information with the rest of the veteran community? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you a part of the Patriot Report Live? Why?
Absolutely, yeah. So it is different layers to this. But from the community standpoint, I see the opportunity of being able to grow from a SDVOSB to a other than small business. And now, as an other than small business, I can pull in other service disabled veteran owned small businesses and other veteran owned small businesses and mentor them and allow them to grow. So basically, I get to reach back and help the people who serve with me, and anybody who's willing to listen and join. That's veterans and service disabled veterans or minority owned business. Anybody that I can help that's willing to join the movement with us. That's the main reason why I'm doing it from that standpoint. Outside of building generational wealth for my family. I have a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old, 2 girls. So I wanted to pass down all my knowledge and information to them so they could build on top of that and be greater than me.
Excellent, excellent. Well, my hat's off. I commend you, and the audience is not uh, deluded about the fact that we have a mentor protege relationship here, and I want them to know the fabric of the individual that they're working with, and let's give them a tease about this concept that we are looking to mature, and I'm specifically talking about the Veteran Disaster Recovery Network. And to give you a high level, a few years ago, Congressman Benny Thompson came to me and asked me if it would be viable for us to create a small disadvantaged business disaster recovery network. And that was to take advantage of the fact that there are I'm trying to remember the name of the law, but there's a particular law that requires the government to spend disaster recovery dollars with local businesses and to ensure that small disadvantaged businesses got their share of the pie. The idea of putting this network together made sense. Well, of course, fast forward today, right? Dismantling DEI, the small disadvantaged businesses persona non grata. And so, what Mr. Hill and I are contemplating is the viability of creating a disabled veteran and take out the disabled veteran and just call it a veteran disaster network. And ostensibly, what we would be able to do is create a network of construction companies and remediation and cleanup companies across the country so that in the event that there is a disaster, we could drop a network of individuals into those communities to help with the cleanup. Why is this important? It's important if you're following the popular media about the discussion surrounding FEMA's budget and whether or not FEMA is going to be renewed and whether or not it's going to be moved to another direction, doesn't matter from my point of view as a citizen soldier. In the event that there is a disaster in this nation, we have to come together to make sure that we right the wrong, what make it like it never happened before, right? To steal that old slogan. So to say it succinctly, what we are envisioning is the creation of a veteran disaster network that would be able to parachute into any community that is affected by a national disaster and help with the cleanup. You get the chance to be a part of that. Join us at the next Patriot Report. We'll talk to you a little bit more about that. Mañana. That's it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us for another round of My Patriot Report Live. I'm Ratwan Hill, and that is Mr. Walter Cotton III. Until next time, guys, we're out.